I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be biased. I, I've met the man a couple times. He seems really nice. When he speaks in public, it's just not it's not very good. Yesterday's speech by the governor was just silly. He tries to be funny in spots where he shouldn't be funny. He always looks like he's a little bit confused. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. I watched the thing yesterday, and he's trying to insert jokes in places where they shouldn't be, and he's waiting for applause that never comes. It's just weird, right? I know there were protesters outside, and he was dealing with the sound. I get it, but still, I mean, you're the governor of the state of Connecticut. I mean, there should be a certain sense of, I don't know, confidence and what's the word I'm looking for? Regalness? Is that even a word? Maybe not. I don't know. But I just wanted to point that out, that I watched that. Like, I'm sure a lot of you either watched the clips, I watched the whole thing, and it's just very uncomfortable to watch him speak. To speak, and I don't really understand it like that. Like, we have now leadership in this country, and Biden's in that mix, where there's little to no confidence when they're talking. Like, I don't get it. Like, it seems like they don't have command over what they're saying, and then they look for these odd places for, if you don't have the comedic gift, don't try. If you're not funny, you're not funny. It's okay. There are a lot of you out there that ain't funny. And I gotta tell you what, it's all right. Right? You have your moments. But, and I almost think it's nerves that happen to get him. Like, he must get nervous. All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, because I didn't think, aside from some of the obvious bullet points of spending money and how it's your fault that the things are the way that they are, etc. I don't want to dive too much into that. Maybe we can do a little bit more of that tomorrow, unless Rob wants to tackle it. We can get into that a little bit today. I did want to talk about something that did happen at the Capitol too. I was just given this, and it leads into the topic that I want to talk about today. But State of Connecticut General Assembly yesterday, there are many provisions in the joint rules that only apply by their terms during a declaration of public health or civil preparedness emergency related to COVID, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I want to just get down to the meat and bones of this. Pursuant to the authority granted to us in the joint rules of the Senate and the House of Representatives during the 2021-2022 session of the General Assembly, we are hereby declaring it necessary, because of public health concerns related to COVID-19, that the portion of such joint rules that are implicated by such a declaration remain in effect. Therefore, beginning on February 16, 2022, in the event that the governor's declared emergencies expire, all of these provisions will continue to remain in effect until such time as we determine the public health concerns related to COVID-19 no longer pose a serious threat. That is Martin Looney, Matthew Ritter signed that. So that means the Capitol remains, I guess, under siege. Masks, all these different parameters, rules, whether or not people can go in or not, I'm not sure about that. Whether they actually can get back into the people's house, probably not. So Looney and Ritter, I guess according to this, unless I'm missing the point, are going to keep the Capitol under lockdown. And I can't understand. You can't understand what's going on. And it's not funny, because I'm thinking what I wanted to talk about today, and I will get to it. I want to talk about kids again. Kids and COVID one more time. Not one more time, but at least today again. And the thought that these two men, grown men, I understand Looney's immune compromised, he's got issues, but I'm assuming that they're doing the lockdown for, I would have to think some of this decision making is personal, right? It's a personal decision out of fear, right? You don't have to go to the Capitol. If you want to zoom in, you can. Why is it that the people who want to represent, I'm talking about the politicians who want to represent the people that they are supposed to represent now are being forbidden to do that, according to this, I think. And, that is going to continue to, I guess, evolve in Hartford. Yet, we got kids back in school, and I mean, we've had this conversation before. It's so the kids are all right to put them in harm's way in school, but at the Capitol, it's not, right? I don't understand that. It's to me, it's a little cowardice. If it's really that big of a danger, then shut everything down again. Isn't that what you want to do anyway? All right, I don't want to spend time because I want to get into this right here. So this is interesting. Some of this stuff is fascinating. Some of this stuff we've talked about. But there were different. There's an article, New York Times, and cobbled together some stuff, but it's good. Teenagers arguably bore the social and emotional brunt of school disruptions, according to this report. U.S. high school teenagers over the past 2 years reported some of the most alarming mental health declines evidenced by depression and suicide attempts. Large numbers of high school students have missed most or all of the 2020-2021 academic year. As a result, failed classes that are critical to, or they failed a bunch of classes that are critical to their future. Harrison Bailey, a PhD principal of Liberty High School in Pennsylvania, described the general sentiment among students as, ready? Resignation and indignation, with blunt and flagrant disrespect being rampant. What are we doing? Well, we're isolating kids. We're making them socially inept. And then when we're actually turning them loose, we actually have created, because they're home all the time under this constant, if you want to call it supervision, or under this constant sort of computer bombardment, we've created a bunch of disrespecting brats to a certain extent. Not all of them, but some. Bailey continues, usually large numbers of fistfights in halls, and when students went back to school, there were fistfights and hall brawls because nobody could interact with each other. The school's wellness center has also been overwhelmed with students reporting anxiety and depression. Now, this is a principal whose kids had come back to school, right, under mask mandates, etc. They'd come back, they've been out, but they've come back, and they don't know how to interact with each other. Aside from the violence, Bailey is seeing another, in many respects, even more concerning trend: apathy. Many are coming to school wearing pajamas. Virtual learning has proven to be nothing short of a disaster, a total failure, according to this principal. What the experiment has taught us is that school is not just a place where you learn a bunch of information, it's a place where you learn social skills. Bingo! We've all been talking about this forever. In particular, what is lost on me in all of this is, as soon as we had found out that COVID was not affecting the kids, we should have stuck them back in school immediately. I mean, this is not a difficult equation. As soon as we found that out, I understand in the very beginning, everyone was scared to death and nobody knew what to do. I get it. But you're talking about the future of the future of the country and the world, your kids. And report after report after report is saying the same exact thing. The number one complaint is anxiety about being around other people because they spent all this time in isolation. Everybody's a robot now. One 16-year-old described the pandemic life as emptiness. Another student was reported spending the entire year 2020 simply playing video games all day long. I told you this yesterday, that you can Zoom all you want and you can half listen and get away with it, and that's probably what most of the kids do, if they even half listen. I mean, if you're in front of your computer and the Zoom is up, you can do do whatever you want. Drug overdoses surge amongst high schoolers with despair, lack of purpose, lack of direction, increased drug use. Recent statistics show a stockpiling of fentanyl overdoses among high school aged adolescents during the 2020 and 2021 years. Didn't we just have a bunch of kids overdosing fentanyl in Bridgeport? One of them died, I think. The other ones got very sick. The overdose mortality spiked sharply to 2019-2020 from 2.35 per 100,000 to 4.58 per 100,000. That's a 94.3% increase. Teens are also being assaulted by health problems caused by COVID. The jab itself with myocarditis, we know about that. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is also monitoring 8 classes of, again, myocarditis between 5 and 11-year-olds now. And, the premise of this piece, and this is where I'll end because I got to go, I'm running late already. As noted by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., never before has a society demanded that children take risks that might sacrifice their health in order to protect the old. It's immoral and it's irrational. And I hate to say that I told you so, but I've been telling you that for a year or more.